It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
What's up, everybody? Welcome out to the Sunday night live stream. I am Buck. This is Justin.
What up?
We are going to do a topic tonight of the impact of...
Huh? There's no sound.
Sarah, do you hear us?
Do we have sound now?
Is everybody good? Can you hear us? Totally just jacked our...
I just explained time travel.
Yeah. Anyway.
Was the sound not on while I was explaining time travel?
So, as Justin was giving the secrets to life, and we had no sound for a second, so we're good. You'll have to tune in next week for the secrets. Maybe he'll do another rendition of said secrets. But anyway, we're going to talk about the impacts of INKMASTER, or essentially from the years of when INKMASTER started to now. I don't want to make it 100% about INKMASTER. It falls in a cool timeline. There also is some obvious deep impacts of INKMASTER. But, you know, it should be a cool little conversation, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
I just got back from the convention. I spent 3 days down in Asbury, so I am really just have been immersed in the full effect
of the impact
of the INKMASTER culture. Yes.
Yeah. You know, a little quick personal note. I actually did put something in the community post today about, you know, man, I wanted to apologize to everybody about not having some new videos out. And, you know, I lost a couple of subscribers, so I don't know if people are, like, unsubscribing because I'm not putting out new content. But I am dealing with a pretty serious issue with my mom. And I am planning on actually getting some stuff out this week. At least started anyway. So hopefully I'm back on track. And I do apologize. Don't bail on me yet. Please. I have new stuff coming out. So if anybody's watching this, you know.
Who's here?
So far we got Sarah. We got Tom. What's up, Tom?
What's up, Tom?
Tom said he missed last week because he was getting his ass kicked at Pantera. So Pantera was playing in the UK, I guess. Well, the version of Pantera. We won't get into that.
Oh, but, ouch.
And we also have our moderator, Nikki's in. So, yeah, man. Justin got to tattoo all weekend at the Asbury Park Convention in New Jersey.
I forgot to steal the banner.
And it was, you know, he said it was pretty busy. So that's a good thing for the industry.
Dude, it was busy, but there were so many tattooers there. First off, there were 2 or 3 shops that brought like a half a dozen artists each. Like
you don't have to say, but we know like the bigger shops that take up 3 or 4 booths.
Yeah, that take up a whole row.
Yep.
And then
was there a slew of INKMASTER people?
No, there was only one person from INKMASTER.
Okay.
Smaller convention.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I mean, they've been hammering conventions for years now, so I figured they would have at least a couple.
So when I go to Philly, they have a row.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's ridiculous.
In Philadelphia, they have a row. I was talking to somebody about Villain Arts, about Troy Temple in the conventions that he runs. He said, and I was told that he's running a convention every other weekend now.
Yeah,
like nationally.
Yep. They're all over the country at this point, man. I mean, you know, every time I turn around, they're different towns, so it's a nonstop thing for him. Which, I mean, look, hey, good for him, dude. You know, I don't know how that impacts the industry or not, but you know.
So a guy brought up a thing that I thought was interesting. Another artist I was talking to today. One of the things that had never occurred to me is that one of the effects that conventions have is that for a lot of conventions, there's no vetting. I mean, they will give you like a quiz, You know what I mean?
Right.
Of some basic knowledge, but really they don't vet who they let in the door as long as you have like whatever necessary paperwork. So according to this guy, there's people that are completely without shops, completely without apprenticeships,
Wow.
that are just going to conventions and representing themselves. Because I mean, if we're in New Jersey and somebody says that they're from so and so tattoo shop from outside of Pittsburgh,
How would you know?
how would you ever know?
So RC just tuned in. What's up, RC? And
What's up, RC?
he said that Troy also does craft beer conventions as well.
Nice.
So
I would
he's-
figure.
He's got his hands in all kinds of cookie jars. Good for him, though, man. I mean,
I remember when he was making clothes.
he's got to afford those fancy outfits he's always got on.
I remember when he was making clothes.
Also,
Kingpin.
we got Clemma is tuned back in today. So what's up, Clemma? Yeah, man. We got some cool shit to talk about today. I think we're gonna start off with a funny story though, if you're cool with that.
All right, yeah.
You cool with that? So I don't know why, but I ordered this drone for free off of Temu, right? All right, it's Temu. I wasn't expecting anything like crazy, you know what I mean? And I ordered this drone, and I'm trying to fly it in my front yard. And dude, it's a skill. I don't know how these guys are doing these crazy videos. They must practice. So I'm trying it, and at one point it flips upside down. It'll still fly upside down. So now up is down, down is up. It's completely ass backwards. And I'm trying to get it to go, and all of a sudden it just veers and it skips on my neighbor's roof, and then I lose sight of it. So I knock on my neighbor's door, and I have a second generation Mexican family. Awesome people, man. Love them to death. And I was like, hey, can I check in your backyard for my drone? And she was like, she looked at me like what the hell's a drone? And she was like, yeah, come on. So I'm like looking around her yard, and I look over the fence, and it's on the other neighbor's yard, house, on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only like kind of waved to these people. I like keep to myself, man. I'm not right. So I go knock on the door, and it's an older couple. They're probably in their maybe mid to late 60s. And I said, "Ma'am, how you doing? I'm the guy that lives 2 doors down. I ride the Harley." And I said, "My drone went on your roof." And she's like, "Your what?" And I go, like a remote control helicopter that takes pictures. And she looks at me and I said, "And it's on your roof, and I just wanted to let you know, so if it blows off, could you, maybe put it on my porch?" And she said, "Well, do you want to get it down?" And I said, "I mean, I would like to." I said, "I'll go grab a ladder." She said, "Well, you're going to have to because my husband's foot is messed up." I'm like, "Okay." All of a sudden, the old man comes walking out, and he's like hobbling bad. And he's like, "Hold on, man." And he's an old biker. I didn't realize this until, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, we'll get my ladder out of the garage. I said, "All right, cool, man." So I'm a fat ass, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I hope it's a good ladder because I don't want to be bending somebody's ladder up. So I go in there, and I get it, and I'm carrying it through the yard, and I'm trying not to hit anything or whatever. And I get the ladder up, and I see the drone now. I climb up the ladder, and I go, "Hey, if you give me a broom, I might be able to, so I don't have to walk on your roof." Gives me a broom, and I'm like, I wasn't even close, dude. I look down, and I go, "Hey, I'm going to have to get up on your roof. Are you okay with that?" And they were like, yeah, okay. You could tell they were hesitant because, A, I'm a 300-pound fat ass walking on somebody else's roof, and then they got to worry about, my fat ass falling off the roof and getting sued.
Right.
So I gingerly get up there. There's a punchline coming. And I grab it, and then I go to come back down the roof, and I'm trying to be ginger, so I'm not going through anybody's roof. I go to swing my leg up over the roof, and it's a ladder that has these two posts at the top. So it's like a H almost, where their post kind of comes up. I go to swing my leg over so I could step over and start going down the ladder, and my shorts, leg of my shorts, gets stuck. So now I'm trying to wiggle to get it off. Meanwhile, it has now pulled my shorts and my underwear completely over to the side. And the old man and the chick are sitting there looking up. And my balls are hanging out of my pants, dude. I come back down the
Suburban
ladder.
Levittown, everybody. Suburban Levittown. Thank you.
I come back down the
Thank
ladder.
you. Thank you.
And the old lady goes, "How long have you lived here?" And I go, "I guess about 5 years." And she goes, "And we've never gotten to meet you before." And
Now you've met me and my balls.
and my bubble gum hanging out of my shorts. Anyway, I thought I would share that. I thought it was funny as hell, man. I told a couple people we were eating lunch on Saturday. I told them the story. They were dying. I'm like, man, you never even say hello to your neighbors, and then all of a sudden now they're seeing your balls.
Right. Right.
Sweaty balls. All right.
You got heart reacts to that story.
Because everybody loves a good balls hanging out story. Anyway, yeah, man. So, quick update on my mom. She had a artery replaced in her heart. Everything was looking really good, and then I got bad news today, so it kind of went the other way. So she's gonna be in there a little bit longer, but she is definitely one badass ornery Russian broad, dude. So she's definitely gonna not, give up the fight. She's too ornery to do something like that. But it sucks because it sucks having to drive into Philly. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna have time this week. I think I haven't picked who I'm gonna do yet, but I'm going a little old school. Tattoo artist this week. I think it's going to matter on how much information I can get and also how many pictures and stuff I can get, because honestly that dictates some of my stories that I can do for history, because man, I have to do like some kind of B-roll and have pictures or some cool shit to have, and some of these older guys, man, there's very limited pictures, or it's so heavily copywritten. There you go, not righted. While we're talking about that, though, real quick, another side note: did you see that Wes Grimm? They're releasing a book on Burt Grimm.
From the walls of Burt Grimm's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I'm stoked to see that, man. I'm actually thinking about ordering it. And then Lyle Hardy also posted some cool shit this week where he was talking about, his time in the 80s and a couple other guys that he tattooed with, man. So if you're not following him, he's a guy from the UK. He's from London, man. OG tattoo artist, man. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but he has a lot of amazing tattoo history stuff on his Instagram. So you should definitely check it out. LALHARDY. So
there was a woman who was on Inkmaster who was at the Asbury convention, and I only bring that up because she was talking to me about Lyle Tuttle died, I think the year before last, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Okay, and he left a huge collection, and from what I understand, if I'm wrong, please correct me, he was estranged from his family. And so he left the collection in the care of this woman that he had met, and she was supposed to find a home sort of en masse for this collection, right?
To be like a museum.
Right, to be a museum.
Yep.
So there are shows now with Tuttle stuff. Like, I guess some of Tuttle's stuff was in the Burchett show up in New York. But she's also, from what I understand, selling some of his stuff. She's also, from what I understand, selling some of his stuff. And so, I mean, if you were looking for somebody to look into, that would be...
Yeah.
That's a pretty amazing thing. If some of Lyle's collection is going to be
Yeah.
going to be put out there. I mean, that's an amazing history collection.
I can't remember the girl's name, but she's from Electric Tattoo down in New Orleans. Older lady, red hair, glasses.
Electric Ladyland?
No. That's the...
No, there's an Electric Ladyland tattoo.
I'm going to have to look it up, but she's been selling a lot of stuff, history stuff, for a raffle for, I guess, like a fellow tattoo artist that's sick. And she's had some freaking amazing stuff on there, and it's probably stuff that I couldn't afford, so I don't even look to click on it.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the thing right now, because even when Furry Couch was talking about doing his online auction of memorabilia and stuff like that, he was more like circus stuff, right, that he's doing. But that's turning into a really big thing, man, where people are trying to make money now off of these auctions that they're doing on like Instagram and stuff like that. And
but I mean, in Furry's collection, he has Sonny Tough artwork. Sonny Tough's a
I mean, he's got tattoo
Philly
stuff,
guy.
but he's also got a lot of circus stuff
and Mike Malone stuff.
Yeah.
I ran into Chris Longo.
Okay.
Remember Chris from the Allentown convention? Old head tattooer. He had the.
Oh yeah.
He's looking healthy.
Okay.
Looking really healthy.
Good.
Still has the machine vest and the. But.
Okay. So, all right, cool. We got some more people jumping in. We got Shiro Kimba, and we got Drag. Hola, Drag. What's happening, buddy? Let's jump into this with the Inkmaster thing. So I do have some notes that I took because I had a couple downtime days when my mom had her operation and stuff, and I was like, scouting the internet, trying to get some data together for this today because I knew we were going to talk about it. And so Inkmaster started in 2012.
Right.
I didn't think it was that far back, but yeah, 2012, man. So we're talking, what's that, 12 years it's been on. And I also, so we're going to do some stuff where I found data from like a consumer tattoo enthusiast perspective, and Justin is going to talk about the stuff from, being a tattoo artist / shop owner perspective. So this way we're going to have like this cool balance of back and forth, because, he's going to know what he knows, and then I only know what I looked up. So one of the biggest impacts that was stated that I saw was in 2012, the FDA approved, it's called the PicoSure laser removal tool, where it made it a lot easier to do tattoo removal compared to previous machines that they had. And I'm assuming it's even gotten better since then with the new like recovery or whatever. Removery. And the new places popping up to do those. I know that there's even like a local guy here in Levittown that does them. He does like Botox injections and all kinds of stuff for.
Speaking of removery, real quick, or speaking of tattoo removal. So there were all kinds of blackout people getting blackout work done, right? Like half done blackout sleeves, their chest panels, like. And I thought to myself, if you have already sort of gotten fully tattooed and decided you don't like it once, and you're now covering it up with black, what the fuck are they going to do if they decide they don't like the black? I mean, there were people there with like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. That's a good call. I didn't even think of it that way.
Because you've already gotten fully tattooed, right? So I got my sleeve in my 20s or whatever, and now I'm in my 30s and I don't like it anymore. I don't like what I liked when I got my sleeve. So I know I'm going to get that covered with fucking solid black ink. Like, what are you going to do in your 40s when you're like, I don't like my solid black ink sleeve anymore?
So now what they're doing, though, is they're actually
Jesus.
putting, like, white and teal wool and, like, these light colors over top of it. And
how could you ever possibly remove?
Oh, you can't.
I mean, if that black is done well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how could you possibly remove that amount of work?
There's no way.
It seems a little short-sighted, doesn't it?
Well, so I think that is you know, one of the and I've seen some of the things, and I'm like, dude, that looks pretty badass. I don't know if I would do that myself,
I wouldn't.
but it
But I-
seems to be like this new trend, and I think, in all honesty, the spark for that trend was Kat Von D going and covering up like a boatload of her tattoos. I guess like her questionable tattoos that she had. She went and did it. Matter of fact, she went to the dudes in Philly, the Black Vulture Gallery,
Right.
because those guys are like, apparently right now they're like the experts.
So, but do you understand the idea? Like, if you, I don't. It seems short-sighted. Like you've already covered yourself completely, and now you're covering your complete covering.
I mean, it goes to the same thing as with laser removal, man. I mean, like, you know, tattoos were always supposed to be like, this is permanent, dude. This is it.
But I could remove this, right? And it would end up sort of like a pasty
Yeah.
field of dull colors.
Right.
Right? When people get full color sleeves removed, right? No, and I won't. I'm never going to remove it, so who gives a fuck? But if I did, I mean, solid black?
What I automatically think of, I agree with you, but I automatically think of,
And it's a trend.
how much does, as a person, how do I put this without being, as a person of non-color, is that right? As a white person, okay?
Boo! Pull it over.
Yeah. I know on my forearms in the areas that are heavily colored in, when the sun hits it, it feels like my skin is cooking. I can't imagine what those people feel like after they get that 100% blacked out. I mean, it's got to be like blistering hot.
But, I mean, and it's a trend now. Like, it's a trend.
Dude, they're beat. And when the trend is over and it's, you know, people are moving on, they're beat.
Now, years ago, a buddy of mine, what he did is he had a full color sleeve, and he got black put over top of it, except for negative space stars. So what he ended up with was these really colorful stars against a black background, and the stars were small enough to where you couldn't see exactly what tattoos were behind them. Do you understand?
Yep.
Like when we were kids and we would take the crayons and then put the black crayon over top of it.
Yeah.
Scrape the black off. That's what his arms were like.
So we got people chiming in on this, which is cool, man. So Shira Kimba, do color on the black. So I think that's where I was going with that, is like you can do some whites and some, I don't know how every color would go over that. I've seen some amazing ones where it's different bunch of colors, but I don't know how that's going to age and what it's going to look like 5 years from now.
I mean,
because I've seen some that looked horrible, where they've done it, and then they do the, you know, fresh, and then like 5 years later, and a lot of those colors have fallen out.
right. It's like when you put the blue or the purple over the black name, like a bold black name, and it covers, and then 3 years later,
It's seeping through.
yeah,
Yeah.
because nothing. I mean, I'm of the mind that nothing really covers black. If black's put in correctly, nothing really covers black.
Right. So Drag says, blackout, you have to stay with it. Then you have tattoo over black. You can't remove it. Yeah, so that's what Justin's saying. It's like that's it, dude. You're done after that. There's no going back after that. Tom says, don't know if you know Remedial Remy? Ephemeral Remy? He has like 3 layers of color over blackout. And then Drag says, I love Remy's work. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've seen some pretty amazing work that's done where they're putting the dude, I seen one the other day, man, It was like oranges and reds and whites, and it was
Over top of black.
yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, it looked awesome now. I don't know how it's going to age.
I don't know.
So we'll see. Anywho, so they're also saying from 2012 forward that the celebrity culture and social media has made tattoos explode.
So I was really amazed when I saw how tattooed Sylvester Stallone is. The first time I realized he had quarter sleeves. He has quarter sleeves. And maybe his chest done.
Okay.
Yeah. Had no idea. Loved Rocky my whole life.
So I did not know that, but I think that they were...
That's a pretty big star.
Yeah, for sure. I think they were more going like towards the like Rihanna, Lady Gaga, you know what I'm saying? Miley Cyrus. Yeah, not Sylvester Stallone.
Whatever do you mean, Buck?
Well, I guess where I was going with that is the younger generation. But yeah, I mean, between that and social media, I mean, I think social media is now essentially a tool for your business for most people. Because it goes hand in hand now. I mean, it's, you know, I think we talked about it last week where, like, you know, it's replaced the portfolio. There's still going to be some old school shops out there for you youngsters that are going to go, I don't want to see your phone. I don't want to see your computer. I want to see a portfolio. RC, let me know if that's true or not from your perspective. I think I've had a lot of old school tattoo guys that are like, dude, don't be handing me no phone, dude. I want to see an actual portfolio. Drawings, tattoos you've done, the whole gamut. So here you go. Here's a cool stat, though, because you're going to see the number change. So they did a actual survey, and they said by 2012, 21% of Americans were tattooed. In the year 2019, they did the same exact survey, and the number jumped up to 30% of Americans. So we keep hearing about how more and more people are getting tattooed. They did the same exact survey again. Survey, not survey.
Survey.
I'm getting all...
It's a river in France.
Tarjay.
The survey.
2021...
We holidayed upon the survey.
The number dropped down to 26%.
Has it reached the high water mark, you think?
That's why I wanted to bring this up, because there was a conversation where we talked about the guy from down in Asbury.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what he was saying about, like, has it hit the high water mark?
Has it hit the high water mark?
Is it gonna... All right, so hold on. I got a bunch of texts from... I got to do this from my phone because RC's got some stuff from... He's inputting here.
Has it hit the high water mark?
So going back, RC said we used to have one national convention a year. No equipment sales were allowed. There are far too many conventions now. Now he also said, I didn't even think of this. This is actually a really good to throw it out to the rest of you guys and girls. Can you laser out the black to make designs in it after it's been blacked out? I don't know. So, like, I guess it would be like a negative, right? So as far as the portfolio thing goes, RC even takes it a step further. He hands them a pencil and a piece of paper and says, draw me some stuff up. So there you go. you know, basically saying you got to have some type of artistic talent, which, you know, if you think about how some of those old school guys were, I don't know if they had necessarily had too much artistic talent, but that's where the game has changed. You know what I mean?
So I think that the original tattooers had artistic talent.
Right, but then there got to be this
Sort of middle ground.
right,
Right.
where there were just guys that were just taking stuff off the wall,
Right.
knocking it out.
So even Cliff Raven, man.
You have to have some kind of artistic talent, though, to understand shading and all that other stuff, though.
But
right?
even Cliff Raven said, you know, I'm a craftsman. I use machines. I know how to use them well, and I know how to make them run right, and how to apply designs with them. So, I mean, there is something to be said for just being a good, solid mechanic as a tattooer.
No, yeah, and I'm not saying one way or the other about it. I'm just saying that there were guys, though, that were not necessarily the most talented as far as drawing, but they could still bang out tattoos.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think you have to have some type of artistic talent in order just to even understand shading and how to make things not look flat. I mean, we talked about that a couple weeks ago where there were same design of a sparrow and one looked kind of like, it was flat. And then you look at Sailor Jerry stuff and it has like some kind of depth to it. Or
But even that, is that art or is that just an understanding of mechanics, understanding of proportion, an understanding of what makes a good design? I just get a little shy when people are like, they're tattoo artists, like artists.
right, because everybody used to be called a tattooer.
Right. Well, what I mean is that, you know, if you're a tattoo artist, then, you know, move to Paris and eat ramen noodles and paint. I mean, if it's all about the art, you know, make it about the art. I mean, people that use it to be uppity.
Okay, so Tom has a question for us, and I want to make sure I get it on so we can talk about it.
Pantera has not been the same since Steinbeck died. That is the answer.
We're not going to talk about that.
You know, I saw Pantera with the Bad Brains in the 70s. I'm sorry.
Like,
The 70s.
Really?
Yeah, we were down. We were down
wearing your little gosh,
in elementary school in the 80s. I saw Pantera when Phil still had a floppy mohawk.
Okay. Tom says, I don't know what it is in the UK, but I work in a shop, and probably way more than 60% of the customers have tattoos that I can see. So is the industry overcrowded, or is there more demand?
Where does Tom work?
In the UK.
Tom works in the UK?
Yeah.
So I think, and I could be wrong, like, you know, stupid American, whatever. I think that the UK is more accepting, from my understanding.
Okay.
You know, you can have a more, there's places that having green hair would prevent you from being here in the United States because of the conservative nature of it, that it's okay in the UK.
Okay. Then Drag said, good for our shops. They all want tattoos, but I think a lot of them, what I see is bad work. I don't think that they all search for good tattoo artists. Cheap work is common.
Yes.
Drag, I know you're over in Spain, man, but we see that a lot here too in the U.S. We see a lot of the
Man, his lines are shaky.
yeah.
His lines are shaky, but his prices are good.
Yep. So, look, I don't think you should be, spending crazy amounts of money, but I don't think that, good work isn't cheap either. You're paying $25 for some dude that's sitting at a table. I don't know, man. All right, so I thought that actually I'm gonna try to pull this up real quick. Was it here? Hold on. Son of a bitch! I just X'd out of it. That's okay.
So here's an example of one of the changes in the industry with InkMaster. I was listening to a thing where this guy was he was talking about gatekeeping, and he said, you know, back in the day, weren't able just to ask questions. We had to go talk to a tattooer face to face, you know, like, and I thought to myself, I thought to myself, what you mean is, back in the day, we were thrown out of shops if the tattooers thought we were trying to learn something from them. Do you understand?
Yeah. I mean, I know that.
So the newest generation is saying gatekeeping is holding back any information. This guy that was on YouTube was saying that, oh, well, you just got to be able to talk to your tattooer and ask him questions. And from where I'm from, I remember the Spalding brothers, the nephews, you know, from upstate New York. They were known. If you were watching them, they would turn your ass around. They would say, no, don't look.
I mean, I even make it a point now. I know times have changed or whatever, but like when I would talk to different tattoo artists to say, hey, man, I want to do an interview with you or whatever, I would make it a point of being like, I don't want to know anything about your setup. I don't want to know anything about, like, you know, what ink you're using or whatever, just so this way I could kind of like set their mind at ease that it was about the interview, not about what they're doing. And I don't, you know, I've had other tattoo artists that are like, yeah, whatever, dude. But then, like, you know, you say that to some of the old school guys or girls, and they get it because that's just the mentality was different.
And then there's guys like Charlie that won't even be interviewed.
Right. He refuses to do it because
that's where he's from.
He's just like, that's not my generation, man. I'm not dipping my toe in that pond. So I'm gonna actually throw this out here to everybody in the out there in the interwebs. According to this is actually showing percentage of people that responded with at least one tattoo. What country do you think has the highest percentage of people that are tattooed? And we'll give it a second. And go ahead and answer and throw that in chat. So real quick, everybody that's watching right now, what country do you think has the highest percentage of people that are tattooed?
And the way you're asking the question, I'm saying it's not going to be the U.S.
Well, why would I make it sound like I wanted to give you the answer, though?
It's Bosnia. It's Bosnia, folks.
Drag, Tom,
Bosnia.
Sarah, anybody that's still listening, go ahead and throw it in chat real quick. And while you're at it, hit that like button for me to push it out to the group. Okay, so we got Nikki said China. Tom said Mexico. What did you say? Bosnia?
I didn't say anything. The former Soviet Union. I don't know.
Former Soviet Union and China would. You're playing the numbers game.
Yeah.
There's more people there. So.
Well, percentage or numbers of people?
It's percentage. So Sarah says Australia.
I'm going to say America.
Okay.
America.
All right. All right. Well, I don't know how many people are actually watching right now, so I don't want to wait too long. But according to this, Italy at 48%.
Those crazy Italians.
I would have never thought that.
Yeah, love food and tattooing, man. Love food and tattooing.
Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2. Getting all those Viking tattoos.
Nice.
U.S. comes in at 46%. Third. Australia, Sarah, comes in fourth at 43, tying with Argentina at 43%. And drag, you're represented, brother. 42%.
Spain.
And then Denmark, 41%. And the UK, 40%.
What's the least tattooed country?
I don't have
They
that
don't have.
information.
They don't have that information.
No. According to this, there are 21,000 tattoo parlors in the United States, and the number grows by one each day.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Wow.
What was the stat that you had?
16,000.
And what year was that?
I'm not sure. The last thing that I saw on the internet said that there were more tattoo parlors in the United States now than McDonald's restaurants.
Wow. So, I mean, there's definitely some crazy stats here to back up the at least from the time frame forward. Now, let's talk about maybe some of the negatives. I'll go first.
Okay.
I think that one of the negatives that I see from a consumer standpoint is it's created this, I'm going to become a tattoo artist and be this rock star celebrity. There's too many of those people that are showing up now instead of the people that love it and did it because they had a passion for it. Or maybe just did it because, hey, I needed a job and I was decent at drawing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, I don't remember if it was Coney Island Freddie or one of those guys that were saying, like, you know, hey, man, I took the job. I did it because I needed to make money to stay out of jail. I had fines that I had to pay. It wasn't like, hey, I'm taking this job and I'm going to be a rock star. Because when you talk to all these old school guys, they're like, dude, we never thought it was going to be like that. Why would we think it was going to be like that? Like when we even talk about, like, you know, Wagner's stuff getting thrown in the garbage, because nobody thought, like, in what did he die in the 40s?
30s or 40s, yeah.
So nobody thought 60 years later people would be like, you know, that
a rusted out Wagner machine would be thousands of dollars.
right.
Not even his machines, but a machine stamped with his name.
Right,
a
right.
production machine that he was involved with. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't their mentality back then. But now, all of a sudden, it seems to me like there's, and I'm not saying everybody, but there just seems to be a lot of those people that show up now that are like, you know, I want to be this rock star celebrity tattoo artist.
So, I mean, I think RC will agree with me about this. I mean, it looks easy. It looks pretty easy, you know? It looks like some kind of, like, you just hang out with your friends and you ink them up and everything's chill and it's, you know, rock and roll and partying and having a good time. And it's not. It's not easy. The downtime isn't easy. The ebbs and flows in business aren't easy.
Right.
The
Dealing with customers.
And I mean, and you know, I'm not the oldest tattooer in the world, but when I bought my first shop, man, there were things in place where I had to go talk to people and say, am I too close? And when I say, am I too close, I mean, I was talking to people 5 or 6 towns over.
Right.
In New Jersey. Like a half hour of like
Drive time. Right.
Not city drive time.
So appreciate the likes, everybody that hit that. Much.
I mean, was it better then? Was it better? I mean, it was certainly better when you didn't have to worry about the next door. You didn't have to worry about the landlord next door running out to another tattoo shop.
Right. Yeah, I think that's just, it doesn't sit well with me, man. That's but you know, like I don't even know how people in other industries deal with that, like where the pizza places like open up on top of each other, man. And I know that there's been some like market analysis on some of that stuff where they're like, well, if there's 8 busy pizza places on a street and everybody's busy and they're making money hand over fist, there's enough economy for a ninth.
So I was on Second Street Pike the other day, north of Street Road.
Okay.
So going into Feasterville, I guess.
Okay.
Right? There was a tattoo shop, and literally before the next light, there was a tattoo shop across the street on 2nd Street Pike in
Right.
Feasterville. Not Street Road, not Route 1. I mean...
Like, a suburban town.
Yeah.
Right.
More or less across the street from each other.
Sarah said the least tattooed is probably North Korea.
Right.
I would say. And then Tom just said, I bet there are some wicked tattoo artists in North Korea that the world will never see. Also probably true.
That is true.
You know what I mean? Because they got... all right, so here we go. RC answered. Let's see what he has to say. He said there's 21 tattoo shops in Delco alone. And that's just a little tiny county it's just below Philadelphia. It's a tiny little county. 21 tattoo shops in Delco. So, yeah, there's more people wanting tattoos, but at some point, there's going to be less of shops because they're not going to be able to swing bills and do whatever because there's just not that many. As much as we want to sit here and talk about there's a shit ton of people tattooed, when the economy's bad, you don't have extra money for tattoos, man.
Right, and so if you were in your 20s, right, if you were in your 20s...
Living with your parents.
10, 15 years ago, getting tattooed, getting like the... whatever was happening now, or whatever was happening then, like you see I saw a lot of guys this weekend that had traditional work, like the American traditional work that everybody was getting 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a lot of new tattoos because now they're in their late 30s, early 40s. They might be, even some of them that were a little heavier, a little more tattooed. And I mean, and I know people coming into the business now don't want to cop to it. But yeah, I mean, it is oversaturated. It's like fucking ridiculous.
I was actually just trying to look up to see if I could get an answer on this, and I can't. Because the only reason so RC, which I actually we talked about this on the interview that I did with him. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. I made it 2 parts because RC, man, I need to get back down there, man, and just do like a super long like history thing with him. So RC was the 3rd studio in all of Philadelphia, along with John Chance. The only other 2 tattoo shops at the time were Harry and Eddie. I was just trying to see if I could get like a Google number on how many tattoo shops are in Philadelphia, but it's in the hundreds.
So what Philadelphia did that was effective was they put stuff in place about to open a shop in Philadelphia, you have to have worked at a shop in Philadelphia, and they kind of set like an internal sort of control in place.
Okay.
But think about Bristol, PA, right? 20 years ago, Jaybird. And for a minute, Little Nicky and Jaybird, right?
Yeah.
And then you had guys down in Ben Salem, you had guys in Trenton, New Hope, right?
Yep.
Now, Bristol, PA, 12 shops, 15?
I don't know if it's that many, but there's a
12?
good clip. Yeah, it might be around there.
Well, I mean, so Bristol, 5 points,
Oh, yeah,
local.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I see where you're going. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now Jaybird's, it's
Gone.
Jaybird's daughter.
Actually, yeah, Amber.
Right. So she's competing against where her father was doing business pretty much on his own. She's competing against.
So we all know that the INKMASTERS social media has, basically put an explosion in the tattoo industry. Where do you feel like the positives have come out of it? If you need a second to think about it, I got it. I have a couple.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So, like, to me, I think that it called out attention to detail. It also called out new styles of tattoos that maybe people didn't know about. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it also called out the bad tattoos. Because we've all seen people that got kicked off the show or whatever. I mean, I've never really watched the show.
Have you ever watched a full episode?
I think I've seen a couple episodes, but I know that I've seen clips of, like on YouTube or whatever, like some of the worst tattooers that were ever on there. And, there are times where those clips are more directed at the person's attitude, not necessarily their work.
Yeah. Why you look 30? There's a famous clip where the one guy on InkMaster said to one of his competitors, who was in her 20s, I guess, "Why you look like you're 30-something-year-old?" He was saying that she was ugly.
So RC said suppliers and conventioneers have profited the most off of it. I would say that's accurate because, now there's this mega conglomeration groups that are trying to take over the industry with inks, supplies, aftercare products, that are, it's really like one big group that's overseeing 7 to 8 smaller to little companies. I think that
it's real business.
When big business gets into it, man, that's when I think that's where things kind of, it's kind of funny, man. I'm going to equate this to something else. You always hear about, like, Bobby Flay opens up this restaurant, or Gordon Ramsay opens up this restaurant, and Wolfgang Puck, or you know what I mean, like these famous chefs, right? And they do set them up. It's their business plan or whatever, and I'm assuming that they have a hand in hiring the chefs that are going to be the people that are overseeing those restaurants. But in reality, if it was the original Gordon Ramsay's, like, one restaurant that he oversaw, it was the greatest restaurant ever or whatever, right? It's going to be a different quality because he's there. He's passionate about it. And then these satellite ones that open up, he's not really there to see, like, a day-to-day operations thing. And it's, to me, that's the same thing, right, with these conglomerates that are taking over with the different inks and all this other stuff that you see. And I'm trying not to say names, but that's got to be the same kind of impact, where now it's no longer this maybe like family-owned business. It's a corporation that owns it. I don't know.
I mean, judging. So the biggest loss to tattooing now, like, because the art has gained incredibly, but the biggest loss to tattooing now is that there was a time, like with so many other things, right? Whether it was motorcycles, whether it was tattooing, whether it was Doc Martin boots, whether it was punk rock music, or if you saw someone else that was tattooed heavily, I mean, I would walk up to them, man. Like, where'd you get?
Yeah.
There was camaraderie and brotherhood and I mean, not family, not to be like weird, but yeah, there was at least mutual respect and brotherhood, and that is fucking gone.
Well, RC just said the uniqueness is disappearing. It used to be like you were like unique, you were different because you were heavily tattooed.
Or if I saw somebody that was tattooed, I knew that they were like-minded. If I saw someone on a bike, I knew that they were like-minded.
Yeah.
That it wasn't like a fashion accessory. Like, it's like with the anesthetic tattooing, right? At that point, it's just a fashion accessory. It's just a T-shirt. Like, you're not earning it. You're not. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not.
I found this little thing here, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up so everybody can see it. Where they're actually talking about how much Americans spend on tattoos, and I don't know if this is percentages or not. I was trying to kind of cruise through it real quick to see, but they're saying like 27. So maybe is it out of 100 people? If I do the quick math, I think maybe. So this might be a percentage. Up to $100 was 27%. We're just going to say percent, just to. The next was $101 to $250 was 17%.
How much they think is a reasonable?
No, how much they spend.
16%
was $251 to $500, which to me is about, I would say,
it's a significant piece. That's a significant 1 point piece.
11% at $500 to $1,000. 12% from $1,000 to $5,000. And then the lowly 2% of people that are spending over $5,000.
Annually or?
On a piece. I got way more than $5,000
Yeah.
worth of work on me. I mean, I think this is on a one shot, like, get a tattoo, spend this much. I mean, that is another area that I think that's, prices have just kind of skyrocketed.
See, that was an interesting thing this weekend because
I think that's more recent though.
Because there was a lot of people there that were doing half playing card size tattoos, right? A playing card, half a playing card. And they had them up there for like, get what you get for $100, $150. And I didn't see a lot of people biting for that. That's a direct result of the economy.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I just said, dude, if you're struggling right now to pay your rent, get gas, buy groceries, dude. Oh, you're saying they weren't even spending, they would rather spend more money for a better tattoo than...
Yeah, so the
gumball machines.
Yeah, hey, I'm just going to spend $100 to get this little tattoo. There wasn't as much of that as there was, I'll spend $200 for something that might have been something that maybe would cost more than that normally at a convention. Like, I think everybody was, like, hedging their bets a little bit with their prices. But there wasn't a lot of, like, just people throwing money around.
So Tom said, we got a couple comments here. Tom said, did the internet ruin all the small communities like bikes and tattoos?
I don't know if ruined.
It altered. I don't know if I want to say ruined. I mean, I feel like... I say this all the time, and man, I'm not necessarily apologetic about how I say this either. But I think that the social media has created a lot of people that don't understand repercussions of their words.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, man, like they got internet balls, where they're like so quick to be negative or, you know, say nasty shit to people. And what's funny is, you know, I've seen videos where people talk like that in person and get smacked in the mouth, and then they act shocked that they got smacked in the mouth. Well, I'm not saying violence is the answer, but sometimes that is.
Sometimes.
Yeah, so, you know, it's definitely altered, Tom. I don't know if I would say ruined. It's, I guess only time will tell, man. Sarah said, today I got a gap filler flash, and it was 900 Canadian. So that's probably like, what, 950 American? Oh. She said like 65 US dollars. Damn. Oh, she said 90 Canadian. Mm-hmm. I'm like, damn, you're still throwing shade.
We're moving to Canada.
Right? Overall, definitely more than 5K in either currency. Yeah, same. I mean.
So I think like.
Sarah throwing shade to the United States currency.
Hey.
I get it.
You know, I think a lot of it was how much, you know, people talk about being tormented as apprentices.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of that, some of that was people being dicks.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, too, was like, do you want to learn a tattoo? Yeah. Do you want a tattoo? Are you about tattooing?
Right. Right.
Like, I mean, it's like what we were talking about earlier. There are exceptions. There were untattooed tattooers. Yep. Right? But like this weekend, for instance, I mean, there weren't, I mean, half of the people tattooing there were not heavily tattooed. Certainly weren't sleeved. Certainly weren't even sleeved. And then the other odd part of that was, and I think that this is a result of Inkmaster and the social acceptability piece, is that there were also like kids, 20-somethings, right? Not to be disrespectful, but I'm 50, with like this done, like the thing, you know?
The whole half your face done.
Yeah, yeah. Like the gnarly tattooing. So there was a little bit of both.
So I think that where you back in the day used to see somebody that was sleeved and you'd be like, all right, man, that dude's been through something. You know what I mean? Right?
Or that dude's like me.
I think that that's this day and age, man. I think that's where these young kids are like, yo, I'm getting my face done, man. I'm proving that I'm Johnny Badass. Like to them, that's their new sleeve.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, us in the, 90s or whatever was like, we would look at people's sleeve and be like, all right, man, that cat's, he's been through some shit, man. Now, that's just another day for a lot of these young kids. I think now it's more like they see that, face, neck, hands, and they're like, oh, that dude's badass.
Right, but I guess the difference is where we earned getting our hands tattooed. You were tattooed and then got your hands tattooed. Right?
Or not.
Now it's like,
I wish I could get my hands tattooed, but...
And it's hard, man, and I don't, like... This is something Buck and I really both talk about. We try hard to not be the, like, it was better then, and it's worse now. Like, I'm not trying to be like that at all. Like, things change, man. And there were people today at the convention, man, that were doing insane fucking tattooing.
Yep.
Like, insane tattooing.
Nikki. Go ahead.
No. But they're just...
It's different breed, man. Different breed of people.
Like, I try to be as even-handed as possible in that it's gained and it's lost. It's not like it's just gained and it's not like it's just lost. It's gained some things and it's lost other things.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of like balancing itself out where, like, where there's things that are lost now that we think are bad. There's some pluses that have happened that we go, well, that's definitely made it better. You know, whether it's better art or better hygienic things, better aftercare things. I mean,
I was using
not just hot to spit on it. You know what I mean? Like,
that girl's life is ruined.
yes, it is. And I'm sick of seeing the memes on.
So I was using a national tattoo supply. So somewhere in my travels, I picked up a national power supply, right?
Yep.
And this dude like stopped at the booth, and he was like, that's older than half the guys I just saw tattooing. And yeah.
But did he say it in a negative way,
No,
or was it a respect way?
it was a respect way.
Okay, cool.
Because it was still working.
Yeah, well,
He's like, you get AM on that thing.
Nikki said, I don't trust a skinny chef or a tattoo-less tattooer. And then Sarah just said, I agree with Nikki. Yeah, man. I mean, like, I look at it like, dude, I want to know, because isn't that part of the apprentice program? Is you're supposed to tattoo yourself
You're supposed to,
before you start marking up somebody else?
how can you know? Do your forearms hurt? How can you know? Does your kneecaps hurt? Or your ribs? Like, that's how I always felt about it. How can I be giving somebody tattoos and not be tattooed? Like, that never made sense to me. But again, man, trying to be as even-handed as possible.
I think that every generation's going to go through it. I mean, I am my new kick right now is I'm watching I'm addicted to this YouTube channel called Bald and Bankrupt. And the dude was like, he had his own company or whatever, and like lost all his money, and he decided he was going to travel all over the place as cheap as he possibly could. And now he's got like 4 million subscribers or something, and he's probably a freaking millionaire. I don't know how many times over. But at some point, he had lived he went to school to learn how to speak Russian. I think he actually said at one point he lived in Russia. And then his lifelong goal, one of his goals was to travel around Russia. And like all the way through Russia, though, like the whole Siberian, experience everywhere. Like, he's been everywhere. He even went to Chernobyl. But as he's going through these towns, and he's also done, former Russian enclaves where it's like Belarus, stuff like that, right? And it made me think of this when you said that. So he'll go up to older Russians and be like, was it better when it was USSR compared to now? Was it better under Brezhnev? And almost all of them old people will be like, yeah, because we could afford things and we had things. Where now, like, their pension is like, essentially it comes out to like $40 a month. And they're like, we can't afford to pay our rent and food. So it's like, there's always going to be the generation, like our generation always says, the greatest generation was like the World War II guys. That generation, the greatest generation ever. Because for us, we're like, man, we're talking about kids that were lying to go fight a war for their country. I don't know if we're ever going to have that again, where the new generation goes, hey man, those guys, the Gen X guys were they were awesome. It was better then.
There's a great scene from Mad Men where the one exec, I think Draper, was talking to a young guy, and he's like, listen, I'm going to cut you a break because I understand that you're so young you didn't serve in Europe, right? Or you didn't serve. And until I saw that scene in the show, it hadn't occurred to me that really there was a whole generation of men who were entering the working fields, who had this common experience. They'd all served.
Yeah.
They'd all learned that discipline. They'd all faced that law. Like, can you imagine a whole generation of soldiers, sailors, marine? Everybody was military. I mean, no wonder.
Yeah.
America. I love being American. I don't care.
I do too, but
Sometimes it's ugly, but I love it.
We have also, not to get political, but I think we also have like a false sense of, where we fall on the world. Like, the only thing I could think of right now that just first comes to mind is like, because of movies and stories that you've been told and stuff like that, it's always about like, Americans took over and we're gonna fight and blah blah blah. And we're gonna be Johnny Badass and whatever. And you always think like the Japanese aren't gonna be as badass and da 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 da. Well, that's not true. And there's gonna be a bunch of World War II vets that'll tell you that's not true because they were sitting there dealing with different places that they were stuck and had to deal with it. And it's just weird how different countries have a different look of internally, and then you go to another country and you see how others perceive yourselves. Just like, so we go to UK and they perceive us different than what we think we are, and we perceive them different than they think they are, and it's...
So I was talking to a guy today about London.
I don't know why I got on that rant, but go ahead.
About the Tobacco Road Convention, right?
Okay.
And this guy was like, well, you got to understand, man, they like to keep it in-house. Like the European conventions, unless you're a heavy hitter, unless you're a tattooer on the world stage, you don't get to those conventions.
Right.
Because they don't let you in.
So what is the biggest one in the UK, the Bristol?
There's London, which is, I think, the Tobacco Road Convention, and there's Bristol.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think London is bigger than Bristol because what the guy said to me was that if you can get into Bristol, you can get into London.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I don't know what you guys think if you watch this throughout the week or whatever, and you want to chime in and give your thoughts, whether it's good or bad.
So I know that Tony's learning to tattoo, right?
Tom? Yeah.
Is learning to tattoo. So I just want to say, like, because I know I was a little rough today about new tattooers, just fucking keep tattooing, man.
Yeah, Sarah too.
Just keep tattooing, keep drawing, and it'll work for you. That was the best advice that was ever given to me. At different times when I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to break in. I don't think it's ever going to work for me. My buddy, the professor, said, listen, man, you want a tattoo? You tattoo. You keep at it. You keep drawing. You keep slinging ink, and it will work.
Drag said the biggest tattoo convention in Europe is in Frankfurt. It's Gods of Ink. That's the one that like Dana Brunson and all them were at just recently, right? That just happened like a month or so ago. I seen a bunch of U.S. guys that posted that they were there.
For some reason, I just want to go to London, to the tattoo convention in London. I don't know why.
To be a spectator?
Yeah, even just to go.
Oh, dude, I would definitely be down for that, man.
We're running over.
That's fine. Tom said, because he's replying back to what you just said, he said, hey, man, I get it. I effed up my education, so kind of all I have, so I'm going to stick to it.
That's right, dude. Same. People ask me why I tattoo, because I couldn't stand to be told what to fucking do.
Man, we were doing so good, dude. I think we only cursed like once or twice today.
Freaking.
Or
what did they say? Friggin'.
But we appreciate you guys stopping out and hanging out with us on a Sunday night, man. And, I put a poll up and asked, why, like, some people watch it after. And some people actually hanging with us, and you know, there was a varying opinions on it was the day or the time, or I get it. You know, I don't know if we're ever going to change that, but this is what works for you and I right now.
Yeah.
For, you know, and we appreciate the people that do hang out with
That
us.
stay with us, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're starting to become this, like, cool little family where we're, like, you know, somebody doesn't show up or whatever, and we're like, yo, man, where's Drag at tonight, dude? How come Drag's not here? And then we have the people that, like, pop in every once in a while that when they show up, it's like, oh, shit, no, what's up? So, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, dude, I think that, you know, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to spitball this week. Justin and I didn't have a lot of time to hang out the past couple of days, so we didn't come up with anything yet, but we will have something cool for you guys next week. Drag said, buenas noches, amigos.
Buenas
See you all
noches.
next week. Thanks for stopping out. We
Stay
definitely
safe.
appreciate it.